Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. The topic of this 10-minute moan is the horrific situation that one member of the public's had trying to obtain freedom of information on the scandal with Derek Mackay grooming case. So the article is an exclusive in the Scottish Daily Express, where they have been given information by the sounds of it from the gentleman or the lady, perhaps, who has actually been trying to obtain freedom of information, and it's quite a disturbing story. So the headline is Nicola Sturgeon and the Sleekit SNP in the new email secrecy scandal over Derek Mackay's grooming case. Exclusive, the Scottish Information Commissioner has slammed the SNP government in a damning ruling after officials failed to respond to a request for the former FM's emails and correspondence in the day our administration nearly collapsed. The SNP government has been warned that it faces court unless it complies with a request to release all Nicola Sturgeon's emails on the day the Derek Mackay grooming scandal broke. The damning decision by David Hamilton, the Scottish Information Commissioner, follows a long-running secrecy battle between ministers and civil servants and a dogged member of the public. It relates to the infamous events of February the 5th, 2020, when a newspaper revealed the SNP Finance Secretary had sent hundreds of social media messages to a teenage boy. Mr Mackay quit in disgrace just hours before the annual budget, and Kate Forbes was drafted in as a last-minute replacement. Asked whether his behaviour amounted to grooming, Mr Mackay refused to respond. He said he had behaved foolishly and apologised to the 16-year-old boy and his family, while Miss Sturgeon said his behaviour fell seriously below the standard required of a minister. 2 years after the scandal, the campaigner, who is asked to remain anonymous, submitted an FOI request asking for emails/communications sent to or sent by the First Minister of her private office on the 5th of February. The SNP government at first said it did not hold the information. Do you remember that part? Their first response, we don't hold the information, before admitting that it did hold around 5,000 emails that could fall under the scope of the request. However, it said that searching through them would cost more than the £600 cost limit of a Freedom of Information request. The campaigner submitted a second, narrower request for emails from specific email addresses, but once again, the administration said it would be too costly to search through around 2,700 messages. At this stage, he appealed to the the Commissioner office, saying the total number of emails appeared to be excessive for a day. He accused the government of going out of its way to inflate the estimated time involved and said if had lied in its initial response to his request when it entirely feasibly that it had lied again. The lie being that they first of all told them we don't hold that, we don't have that information, and then went on to say, well, we do, but there's 6,000 emails, so we can't give you them. So they've contradicted themselves there. During the investigation, the Scottish Government admitted that after sifting, around 600 emails would fall within the scope of the request. In his findings, the Commissioner described this approach, switching between we do not hold the information and we do hold the information, but retrieving it would be too costly, as plainly unsatisfactory. I'd like to challenge the words used there by the Commissioner. It's plainly lying. That's what it is. Mr Hamilton urged the Government to ensure that its cost calculations are robust and also raised concerns about poor operational awareness of record keeping, resulting in inadequate and inaccurate calculations being provided. This is clearly unacceptable. He also noted that despite the campaigner asking for all emails/communications, the Scottish Government did not search for WhatsApps or SMS messages sent by or sent to Miss Sturgeon on the day in question. The Commissioner said that the Government could no longer claim that responding to either request would breach the FOI cost limit and ordered it to provide new responses by June the 20th. That's just over a week away. His ruling adds, if the authority fails to comply with this decision, the Commissioner has the right to certify to the Court of Sessions that the authority has failed to comply. The court has a right to inquire into the matter and may deal with the authority as if it had committed a contempt of court. Speaking to the Scottish Daily Express, the campaigner said it appears that the Scottish Government has sought to cover up any involvement by Nicola Sturgeon or her staff in relation to the issue by refusing to release any of her correspondence from this time. It is widely reported at the time that the government tried to stop the publication of the story, and Sturgeon and her office must have been aware of this. Similarly, what steps did they take with regards to the welfare of the young youth involved? Did they attempt to downplay the issue or dig into the personal details of the boy in question? There must have been comms between Sturgeon's office and the SPADs regarding this issue. Yet none have come to light, in flagrant disregard for FOI process. On the surface, it appears Nicola Sturgeon and the Scottish Government are complicit in a cover-up with regards to what really went on in this grooming case. He added that he had not had any further response yet, but said this was just another example in a long line of FOI mishandling and dodgy correspondence records management. Scottish Tory Chairman Craig Hoy said the damning response from the Information Commissioner underlines the SNP's sleek secrecy over scandals gripping their party. There would need to have been a huge amount of correspondence between Scottish Government and the SNP for it to have exceeded the cost threshold. Derek Mackay resigned in disgrace, and people have every right to obtain correspondence relating to the murky goings-on when he was in government. This reluctance to be fully transparent threatens to further blur the lines between the SNP and the... Oh, I can't see that word there. And the government, which will concern the public. A Scottish Government spokesman said Scotland has the most open and far-reaching freedom of information legislation in the UK, and the Scottish Government remains committed to our obligations under the Freedom of Information Act to ensure openness and transparency. I will contest that last paragraph, right? Because I've had a Freedom of Information request thing ongoing since January, and it's still not concluded. It's already given me information about the Hamza Youssef overturning a ministerial decision to give UNICEF money for Gaza, and he overturned the amount from 200,000 and upped it to 250,000 and gave the money to UNRWA instead, which was despite the ministers already agreeing UNICEF and the Department of External Affairs recommending UNICEF. So I'm still asking questions about that, and some of the absolute dross answers I get are quite frankly staggering, right? And I don't think I'm that far away from having to write to the Information Commissioner for a bit of assistance here, because some of the stuff I get sent back, now don't get me wrong, the first response was absolutely outstanding, the amount of information I got, but when one of the things that I asked for wasn't there and I asked for clarity on it, then it became a bit weird. And they do this thing, right? And I'm sure this other campaigners having the same issues. They send you back a response, and let's say your excuse me, your FOI request is given a number 2000001, right? So they respond to you to that. They can tell you that's their code, and you'll get it within a timely manner, and then your response comes through with that code. And then you go, well, hold on a minute, this isn't right. But what they do is, it's dead clever. They write to you and say, well, we'll look at your request and give it a new number, 2000002, for example. Because what that does, that triggers the timescale again. Because they've got correspondence timescales set within the parameters of what is acceptable for freedom of information. And my relationship with the whoever it is at the other end of these emails went from being great. My first responses were fantastic, first couple. Then it just got a bit shit. Because I believe I've found something that happened that's wrong. And I just want the information to prove it's wrong. But they keep giving me, other than, I'll ask them a question and they give me an answer as if I've asked a totally different question. Like, they told me how wonderful it was that the Scottish Government were giving money to Gaza, and that was fantastic, and all these people were dying, and how terrible things were in the war. And I was like, well, my question wasn't how bad things in the war. My question was to explain to me and show me the correspondence where the Scottish Government decided what pot of funds to use, which I believe they've used illegally. Now, this was after, with my own FOI, one of the responses when I was asking about the source of funds, They gave me information that would suggest to me that it was pot A. Pot A was empty. There was no money in pot A to give them the money they needed for Gaza. And I was quite sure they'd used pot B. So when I challenged it, they came back and they said, yeah, it's pot B. I says, why did you tell me it was pot A? No, we didn't tell you it was pot A. That was just some things that were in the dockets that you requested. But there was nothing, not one single thing to suggest in that. Now, I'd asked the question where the money came from. There's nothing whatsoever in all the 70 odd pages that they gave me suggesting anything to do with pot B. I was given 3 separate indicators that suggested, without saying it, that the money came from pot A, which I hadn't. So this is the sort of games that they play. And I've only ever done one FOI in my life. And I'm tempted to add on others, but I just want to deal with one thing at a time. But it's a crazy system. And this instance is an exact, almost replica of the nonsense I'm having to deal with. So I have written just yesterday, actually, a response to my latest update of my FOI, just actually telling them quite clearly that they're responding to me, that I didn't ask that question. So can you please tell me and answer this question? Very, very simply, this is what I want answered. So after 6 months, can you just give me the information I've requested and not information I've not requested? They've sent me loads of, other people's third-party FOIs responses to say, oh, well, your answers are here. The answers you're looking for are in here. And I'm like, no. That's a totally different thing. That's me trying to justify why they gave money to Gaza in the first place. I'm not interested in them justifying to me why they gave it. I'm interested in them justifying to me why they gave it from the pot they gave it. Because I can't see anything in their own website that allows that money to come from that pot. So can you show me any emails that are, when the ministers are discussing where to allocate the funds from? Because I know what's happened. They've realised we'll put it in pot A. That's where all the suggestions were. But when they went to look in pot A, there wasn't enough money in pot A, so we've just used pot B. That's exactly what's happened. And they're failing to give me any correspondence I request on the matter. So the whole thing stinks. The FOI system stinks. The last commissioner told the Scottish Government that their FOI department was a waste of time. It wasn't fit for purpose, was his words. I'm coming to the same conclusion. And this guy is coming to the same conclusion. Why should any member of the public have to take 2 years to get this far, and he's still not had the information he asked for? And there's a suggestion now that if he doesn't get it, they'll need to go to the Court of Sessions to get it. 2 years. Absolutely ridiculous. So, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. But most importantly of all, unless you're SNP or the Scottish Government people trying to hide information that should be given to the public, everybody else, have a great day. Cheerio, bye now.